Good evening, everyone. Welcome to yet another session of Women in Pride. We have been successfully running these sessions over the past week, and we met many really extraordinary women who are doing something really special in their fields. Today, also, we have two very special women who are doing their bit to make our society better. I'll introduce Miss Neha Goel, who is an adoption activist, and she is also an architect and an entrepreneur. And we would love to hear about her journey and how she ventured into adoption activism and what we all can learn from her. So, welcome Neha to our session.
Hi,
So nice
Gayatri.
to see you.
Same here.
So, yeah, so thank you for being a part of this session, and I think we can dive right in into your journey so that you can introduce yourself to our viewers, and then we would love to know more about how you took up what you have taken up.
So, obviously, I had a normal, like a childhood, then education. I did my architecture, then I did my master's from IIT Roorkee, took up a corporate job, went to Bombay, then I was in Bombay for a couple of years, then I went back to Gurgaon, working with several other firms like KPMG, Dell, JLL. That was the corporate journey part. Then, I got married, had a biological child, all that happened. But definitely, ever since, even before I had my child, I always wanted to adopt. Okay. And you have known me, you know how much I love children. I
Definitely.
have always
Yeah.
loved children. Okay.
Yes.
So I always had this secret desire to adopt. Now in India, as most of the people know, unless and until you have a medical issue, or there has to be some or the other issue if you're going for adoption. A normal couple without a medical issue or any other kind of issue going for adoption is like, people are not able to understand and comprehend that. That's something very very
Hmm.
unique, and people find it weird most of the times, that why do you need to adopt. So
True, true.
obviously, when I just when I put forth this thought to my husband, he was definitely not on board. Then it took me some time. It did took a lot of effort. Then I broke this news to my in-laws. Obviously they were taken aback. I should say that those first 2 years when I decided to adopt, there was no one on board with me. Husband, my in-laws, not even my parents, I would say. Okay, everybody thought that,
Right.
there is something wrong with me. Why am I thinking on these lines? And we can easily have a second child, we can wait. In fact, people started thinking that, do I have medical complications which I'm not really
Issues.
ready to share, or I am
Right.
feeling guilty about it, or I am not feeling comfortable sharing it with them. So there were all kinds of thoughts, but then, I knew that I have to do it. I stood my ground, and eventually my husband understood that I'm not going to budge. So then eventually, I also took him to certain orphanages with me. He met children. He also started feeling that, okay, this is a great thing to do.
Genuine
So,
feeling. Yeah.
yeah, he
Yeah,
felt.
yeah, I'd like to go take a little step back. So when you said that you always wanted to adopt, and yeah, I know that for a fact because even at school or college lives, we have like, I've always heard you saying that. But what, like, how did it come about? Because it is something which I feel is even beyond the biological love that you have for your children, right? I think loving your own children is probably a very natural thing to come up with, but this is expressing your love to a child which is like physically not yours. So how did you, how did you get that feeling, or what do you
So no,
feel about that when we
no,
say like this?
feelings, as we all know, feelings have no words. Feelings just come. They are hormones. So
Right.
I also, many a times, now that I have been into adoption for so many years, have been working with so many people, into counseling with so many couples, Indian international couples, and then a part of the fraternity where a lot of people have adopted. So I have friends who have adopted children with amputated legs, amputed hands, children with other kind of disabilities like blind, hole in the heart. And I always feel that how do these guys take up these challenge? I mean, it is very very
Exactly.
challenging to raise a child with disabilities. Okay, it is not easy. And in
True.
fact, even in our country, people, when they have disabled children, even biological children, they look at them as a, I mean, as a liability.
Burden, yeah, as a liability. True.
But then, I mean, just taking that step consciously, getting a child home and then taking so much care, I mean, I really feel so proud about those people, but I really don't know how they gather that kind of courage.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. We
I
should
mean,
actually applaud such families of like, who are taking
absolutely.
care of children who need extra help and who need extra care, because you need a really big heart and a lot of compassion and patience to actually go through it, in a kind way. So we
Absolutely.
must really applaud them, because like I have two kids and I know that even now on a daily basis I may scold them, or I may get, lose my patience with them. And every time we have to like dust ourselves up and we say that, okay, yeah, fine, I'll try to do better next time.
Right.
And like, be more compassionate and patient with them. So extending this to a child who needs additional help and support is like probably the most noble thing to do. So when I say that, and you said that you faced a lot of opposition from your family members, uh, how did you convince them? I know, I mean, you stood your ground, but what was the factor which, where you felt that, okay, now they will accept it, or now they will
So,
support
there
me
are
in this?
multiple things, and this is what I always tell when I'm counseling a couple or even a female who reaches out to me saying that her husband is also not in board and she is very much, I mean, interested. So, this is what I always tell her, that the first and foremost thing is that you'll have to be patient. You have to be really patient, and you will
Yeah,
also have to understand that the people you're talking about is family, and if the family is not on board, getting a child home to a hostile environment makes no sense. Absolutely. Okay.
right.
So, and then we have to look at it from the point of view of the family also. I mean, I might have those kind of feelings. I might have grown in a non-conventional family, but then there are people who have had a very very conventional thought process all through our life.
Yes,
Expecting them to change with one idea is not really possible, so we should give them the time and space to understand what we are seeing. And like I told, I took my husband to orphanage. When you really take that step, no, you meet children, you understand the challenges they are facing, then I mean, on and off, no. And I made them understand that I'm not dismissing your feelings. I mean, I never told
yeah,
my in-laws or my family members that, okay, if you're not with me, I'm still going to adopt. No, that's not how it was.
right.
I
Yeah.
But definitely, again, I also told them that, look, I am going to adopt. There are no two ways to it. But yes, I know you will come on board. Okay, because
Hmm.
what I'm doing is nothing wrong. Then, I mean, I like, if there has to be certain communication channel with each and every person. I mean, one side suits all doesn't work. Okay, so
Yes,
if I
yes,
was
yes. Yeah.
convincing my husband, there had to be a different way depending on what kind of a person he is. uh, if I was talking to my mother-in-law, it was very very different, because she is a lot into, I mean, puja and all of that. So I used
Yeah.
to hear that, you have Laddu Gopal at home, and you have Krishna, you go to the temple daily, you worship Krishna, you celebrate Janmashtami. I mean, why do we do all of this? If we cannot
True.
celebrate adoption, so then it makes no sense. Okay, so
Actually,
even
that's
in
a very beautiful example that you brought up. Like Lord Krishna himself was brought up at somebody else's place, right? At
and even
Yashoda Maiya's
even
place. And we
even Sita
celebrated as
Mata,
if it is very common.
absolutely.
Sorry?
Even Sita Mata, she was not born to Raja Janak. Okay, he found him in the field. So she was also not
Correct,
a
correct, right.
biological child. So our
Child.
mythology is full of such.
Actually, very probably more open than what we as a society are.
Absolutely, absolutely. So then, when you share such anecdotes, when you share such examples, when you have logic behind what you are thinking and what you want to do, it takes time, but people understand. And
True, true, true.
I my family, my in-laws were on the verge of, like, they were telling me that, no, we will disown you if you do that. And they are the ones who are, I mean, madly in love with my daughter. They keep getting
Now,
her
yeah.
gifts and everything. So all that takes time. We have to. And in the complete process, like, I started this process. So I had to be very, very cool and calm, because
Yeah,
I
I think that is the probably the toughest part, right? Because you know that you probably have nobody for support. Like
huh,
even as a friend, when you used to discuss this with me, in the back of my mind, I always used to wonder how is she actually going to pull this off? Like while I'm supporting you, but even I wasn't sure that in the our society, and especially when our family members are so close knit and they have such strong opinions, and when it comes to things like our own child or our own bloodline, it is like that possessiveness that we have towards these things. To break that kind of a mindset and make them happily accept a child coming in, that is like a really, I mean, again, hats off to you and your guts to pull it off, right? Because you have your stand was unwavering through the whole thing, and that is what
because
you
it
were
has to be like
able to
that.
manage.
It has to be
Yeah.
like that. And even, I knew, even if after adoption, if something went wrong, I knew I had to manage it, because since I was the one taking this off, people would,
Yes.
easily come back to me saying that तुमने किसी की बात नहीं सुनी, हमने तो पहले ही मना किया था.
Right, right,
So,
right.
there was no looking back.
Correct,
So,
correct.
but then and then, when you start things like these, when you move on to these parts, you start meeting people on the way who become your support system. I actually have people, I'll be thankful to them for the rest of my life. And probably if I wouldn't have met them, no, I wouldn't have been able to adopt, because they became my support system. Lady females who were into adoption counseling, who had adopted before me, they actually became my support system. They stood like a pillar with me. So that's what matters. And even now, when I do adoption counseling, I am counseling people and couples. I make it a point that I try to become their support system.
Sorry about that. Just a
No
second.
problem.
So, uh, yeah, coming to that, actually, like when you thought about adoption, like we think about adoption, and then the other thing is to go with the process of it, right? And what we have heard or seen so far is that the whole system of adoption is very tedious, and there are like so much, I can't say red tape, but so many steps to follow that you were in a waiting list for so long, right? So it is not easy to just think that, okay, I want to adopt a kid and then right away you get somebody.
So, in my recent interview to Midday Mumbai that you have seen, okay,
Yeah,
I do a lot of, a lot of newspapers do interviews. So this was the exact question, and which usually comes up, and this is what I had answered her, and this is what I always do. I always tell her that when people want to adopt, why do they consider it a 2 minute noodles kind of a thing?
right,
When you want to, have a child biologically, it is a 9 months process for sure. And conception, you cannot say that, okay, today we are going to conceive. That's
ready.
not how you can declare. Okay, it might take you 6 months, it might take you an year. So I know couples who biologically, without any problem, wanted to have a child, and still it took them, including the gestation time, it took them a good 2 years to 3 years to have a biological child. But when it comes
Right,
to adopt, people like, today I have thought I want to adopt, अगले हफ्ते मेरे घर बच्चा आ जाए. That's not how it is possible.
correct,
You
correct, correct,
so,
correct.
I understand there are flaws in the system, and through our organization, through my NGO, we are trying to plug those flaws. We are trying to plug those loopholes. But then again, it's a process and it will take time. And
Yeah.
till that time, we'll have to, I mean, just go with the flow. Still, I mean, to what it the process was 3 years back or 4 years back, it's come a long way and it's been really beautiful. There are no illegal adoptions. I mean, illegal adoptions have become very, very difficult because the kind of process it is.
Thankfully.
Yeah,
Yeah.
completely led by the WCD ministry and the Kara website. And people just say adoption is difficult. They don't even know how it is to be done because
Yes.
it's so easy to talk anything. Even I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
they
yeah.
have not done any background research. They don't know anything. They'll just put a comment, adoption बहुत difficult है. Now, if I ask them, okay, what do you think is difficult in adoption? They will have no answer because they have not done their research.
Yes.
Adoption is not at all difficult. This is the first thing I tell people. Getting a biological child is much more difficult than adoption. Adoption
Wow,
is
that is
very
a very new thing to say. As in, because everybody has that mindset that, oh my God, it's such a big deal, and
why?
not
Because
having
if
your own kids and
someone really
everything.
into
It's so
adoption,
much.
no, someone really wants to
Yeah,
adopt, they will not say adoption is difficult because उन्होंने अपनी background research करी होगी.
right. And they'll
जिसको
make it happen that way.
just
Yeah.
say anything.
Right, right. I'm sorry, I did not introduce Afra here.
Hello.
Afra is also in our NanhaGyan team, and she works with me in the Kids Galaxy magazine as well. And she's an MBBS student, and she's a great anchor. She has been anchoring these sessions so far, and I'm glad that I have her with me now. So welcome, Afra.
Thank you. Thank you for that introduction and a very warm welcome to you, ma'am. I'm sorry that I had to join in so late, but I'm
No,
very eager to speak to you about a lot of things that I had in mind. So, if I may proceed, Gayatri, ma'am, do you have anything to add?
No, sure, Afra, you can go ahead, and I can pitch in whenever.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
you
this
continue.
is something I've heard a lot, with regards to adoption. When everything fails, adoption is the last resort. And I kind of don't like the whole air around it that why is it kept as a last resort? So do you think we as a society should seriously stop thinking like that? And what can be, a move in the right direction according to you?
so, I mean, this is the mindset that needs to change.
Yeah.
It is completely mindset. And mindset can change when we start taking that step. Till the time we go by the myths, by the taboos, nothing will change. So, I mean, we as a generation need to take that first step. You make this generation, I make this generation. If I adopt 10 different people, 20 different people around me will know that, okay, adoption is not only for those who have a medical issue. Okay, and adoption by choice is what I always say. Don't
Hmm,
adopt because you have a medical issue. Adoption by choice is very, very important. So
True.
once the generation starts making that thing, I mean, that becomes the way of life. No, when we start seeing more adopted kids in the park, in the restaurants, I mean, it becomes a normal thing.
Yeah.
Till then,
And it
we
has to be normalized. Like you said, this concept itself has to be normalized in the
right.
sense that the more we see such families who are adoptive and these different combinations of families, I think we will become more open to just the fact itself. I
True.
wanted to add one more thing here. So recently I saw the movie Badhai Do, where they are like a gay and lesbian couple, and then I saw in the movie that they said that adoption for such couples is not allowed. So what would you like to add
Sorry,
to
I
that?
have not seen the movie, so I don't really have the
Sorry
background.
for the spoiler, but so mainly, yeah. So ultimately, what I inferred from that is that adoption for gay and lesbian couples is not legal yet. So,
I will
like,
have to go back and check this one. I mean, I will not really want to make a comment unless and until I'm 100% sure about it.
sure,
I mean,
yeah,
I haven't watched the movie either, but I did hear of this thing that, adoption, it's not really in place for such people. And I think it's very unfortunate because, I mean, you do not have a right to strip children of a family, of a potential family who would want them and, would love them. So I also had this
yeah,
question, whenever we're referring to children who are adopted, sometimes the thing is ki you don't want to refer to them as inappropriately ki what is the I would say the positive way of referring to a child or a family who has adopted or a family that consists of an adopted member. For example, let's say the mother is an adoptee, and she has further decided to adopt a child. So what is the positive lingo? Because I think it's a very touchy subject and it's very easy to offend people with regards to this. So how can we go about
I think
referring
if
to such
people are
people?
getting offended now by the word adopted, then there is
Yes.
something wrong with it. Because adopted is adopted now. I mean, what can we change there? People use
Right.
Yeah.
different words, like they say heart baby, okay,
Yeah, exactly, I
that
heard of that.
comes from the heart and all that. But I think unless and until we normalize this word, no, we'll not be normalizing the process. I mean, if
Hmm.
Yes.
adopted, it is the fact. No,
Right.
why are we trying to sugarcoat it? I mean, adopt
Mm.
हुआ है तो हुआ है ना. What's wrong with it? So
Hmm.
till the
Correct.
time we don't come at ease with these words, with these lingo, no, things will not get normalized. Like a lot of people used to tell me, "Acha, are you going to tell your daughter that she was adopted?" I'm like,
Yes, yes.
obviously, why not? I mean, it is her first and foremost right to know. And if I'm hiding something, that means it's something that either I'm ashamed of, or
Mm.
it was a wrong thing, it was an illegal thing. Both things are not true in my case, so why will I hide it? I mean, she should know it, no. And tomorrow if she wants to go on a root search, I mean, 18 years plus children, adopted children, have the legal right to go for a root search. So if she wants to go for a root search, I'll be more than happy, and I'll support her in whichever way I can.
Hmm.
So we have to come, I mean, we have to come with terms with these terminologies.
Yes. Yeah, and I'd like
Because
to add here
hmm.
that yeah, I'd like to
Yes,
add
please.
here that thankfully, like we have all grown up listening to our siblings saying, or we may be saying to our siblings कि तुम adopted हो या तुम्हें hospital
Yeah,
में
yeah,
कहीं से
yeah.
लेके आ गए, and these terms are actually very hurtful when you think of them seriously. And I appreciate, I guess you guys had made an effort with Amazon to actually pull down such
Reach out.
Rakhi products.
Not just Amazon, there were several other websites who had to take off these products, and even Karnataka. After we had this campaign, and we do this campaign every year around Rakhi. Okay, and last year, when I mean, since our campaign received very good response, so Karnataka government had even issued a notification saying that no website should be selling these products in Karnataka, and other websites also had to take down these products. So, I
Right.
mean,
Because
we
we
will
have been
have.
using it very carelessly. I mean, I think there won't be any sibling set who would not have said it. Somebody would have
Yes,
said it to
yes.
each other. And we just throw it around so carelessly without actually thinking of, an actual situation where, in case of an adopted sibling, it may hurt their feelings, or in general, it's just a very mean thing to say.
That was actually my next question, but thanks for putting it in
Yeah,
anyways.
go ahead. No, no,
So,
Afra, you take over.
no, no, it's fine. So, I also had one more question. I mean, I'm not sure to what extent this is true, but I've seen like fictionalized accounts where, parents are very skeptical about letting their children kind of trace their roots because of this sort of insecurity कि हमें छोड़ के चले जाएंगे उसके बाद. So, do you think that actually it exists today? And if yes, then what is your take on it?
Sorry, fictional accounts. I mean, what kind of fictional accounts you are saying?
I mean, to say TV shows may like those typical dramas which you see that you don't want your child to know that so and so is your parent, and because if the child finds out, then the child might leave the adoptive parent as such. I was wondering if that is actually based on a real life thing or is it just fictional
It's
and
all
ऐसा कुछ
fiction.
नहीं होता है.
It's all fiction. They just try to add mirch masala to get their TRPs high. There is no worth in it. That's complete
Yeah.
Okay,
nonsense.
that's
I
And
mean,
very
if
nice to
one
hear.
more,
they will show all kind of nonsense. Ki today we start thinking about adoption, और 2 दिन बाद बच्चा भी घर आ जाता है.
Yes, correct.
I mean, that's all nonsense. Even that movie, I've not seen that movie either. But I have heard a lot about it. There was some movie, Mimi, I think,
right,
right?
right,
Yeah,
right.
that was on
That was about
surrogacy, I suppose.
surrogacy.
Yes,
Yeah, but
yes,
in,
Yeah.
yes.
in the end, towards the end, the couple had adopted a child, and
Right,
as
right,
I
right.
heard about it, the couple had visited an orphanage. They found a child and they adopted, which is not really the case. You just can't adopt like that.
Hmm.
Right.
So,
So
ma'am, one
And
question I'd like to. Yes,
yeah,
please continue.
go. No,
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 it's
please.
okay, Afra. Go ahead.
So I was saying that, sometimes, I mean, I may be wrong about this is my assumption that, when a child is adopted, ऐसा उनको लग सकता है कि was there something wrong with me that my birth parents abandoned me as such? So if there are such feelings that may crop up, ma'am, how does an adoptive parent help them cope or deal with this kind of situation?
So I mean, obviously, teenage is a very difficult time for all the children. Okay,
Yes,
and for adopted children, I mean, it depends how teenage thoughts hit them. There
yes.
are a lot of children I know who, when went into teenage, they became all the more sensitive and understanding of this fact, and they really applauded their parents that okay, you got us home and we got such a good childhood, and I mean, they were all happy about this fact. But then there are children I know for a fact who became very very sensitive, who went for a root search, who gave their parents a tough time.
Hmm.
So we all have to be ready for it. And again, as I say, and this is what I always tell most of the people, we have to stop attributing behaviors to adoption. Okay,
Yeah.
when it is teenage, no, even our biological children behave in a very very inappropriate way.
Yes.
There can be huge load of problems with our biological children also. But as soon as an adopted child starts showing such signs, we immediately attribute it to adoption. So we have to be mindful of the fact that it's a difficult behavior and we have to address it. That's it. Don't attribute it to their roots.
Okay,
True.
great.
And then how do you, in a similar way, like how do you address issues between siblings? Like one is
Hmm.
a biological child and the other is the adoptive one. Do you foresee any kind of issues between them, or they may feel that, I like, either child could feel that way, that probably this child is adopted, so my parents are more loving towards her, or the adoptive child may feel that, they are giving more, uh, care for their own child rather than me. So, like you said, these kind of thoughts are very difficult to tackle, right?
No, no, it's this is how we tag them. This is how we call them difficult, and it becomes difficult. Okay, if we don't tag them
Yeah.
as difficult, they'll not become difficult. We all have grown up, and I don't think there is any sibling set who has not grown up with the thought process कि नहीं मम्मी उसको ज्यादा प्यार करती है या मम्मी उसको ज्यादा प्यार करती है. All of us have grown up with the same thought process, and we never attributed it to adoption or any other thing. It was the normal thought process. Okay, same here. And this is what I tell people: leave adoption at the adoption center. Now the child is yours. Adoption ho gaya. If the child, this is what we always say, the child was adopted, the child is not adopted. So adoption सेंटर में खत्म हो गया. Now the child is yours. अब जो भी आपका, आप उसको डांटोगे भी, मारोगे भी, उसको समझाओगे भी, you will do everything that you do with the other child. And if they have rivalries, obviously you'll have to, I mean, address them like any other parent. सो
Hmm.
अडॉप्शन को ना छोड़ देना चाहिए अडॉप्शन सेंटर में. उसके बाद दे आर बोथ चिल्ड्रन कंप्लीटली
Very true.
ट्रीटेड इन द सेम वे.
Agreed, very
That's right.
much.
Yeah.
Ma'am, I have one very last question for you. This is with regards to birth parents. जैसे कभी, when adoptive parents, या when we're talking about, children who are to be adopted, या who are orphaned or who are abandoned as such, we tend to look at birth parents in very poor light. Typically, when we discuss about, how the state the child was found in, कि अरे कितने irresponsible parents होंगे ऐसे छोड़ के चले गए, no shame, and we kind of tend to have very hostile notions about such people, the birth parents as such. So, do you think it is beyond irresponsible parenting and poverty as such? Are there, because I feel like no parent would willingly abandon their child unless, I mean, obviously they really don't care, or there could be factors aside from that. So, anything that you'd like to share on that?
So I usually try not to judge the birth parent. Okay, because
Yes,
I don't really know their circumstances.
yes.
They might have abandoned the child. I mean, let's say the lady might have to abandon the child because she was under immense family pressure, because this was third girl or fourth girl or fifth girl, whatever.
Mhm.
Okay, Then there are children born to rape victims. Again, societal pressure. I mean, there are several reasons, and in many cases, I even feel that do we even know if the child was abandoned by parents? I mean, might be a trafficked child, the trafficker couldn't take him any forward, तो वो कहीं छोड़ गया.
Hmm.
Okay, so I try not to judge the people who abandon the child, more so because I mean, if I have a child, there is a child with me, and I cannot dismiss the fact that she was born to someone else, and her birth mother will always be her birth mother. I cannot change that fact. If I look at that lady in a poor light, no, I am basically dismissing a huge reality of her life. Okay, and that does not make me any, I mean, I cannot be a better mother to my daughter by being dismissing the fact that she has a birth mother. So I always, and I will, this always will be my thought process with my daughter also, that you have two sets of mother. Obviously we don't know the first one. If we get a chance, more than happy to take her back to her. Okay, but I mean, we will always, I mean, we'll always be thankful to, like on her birthday. I always, this has been a ritual for me that I always sit back and thank her birth mother, telling her and sending her vibes that your daughter is safe. I'm sorry, that your daughter is safe. She's been taken well care of. And if you are seeing her, then be very rest assured.
That is very thoughtful.
Wow, that is amazing. I mean, I got goosebumps just listening to that because for somebody to really feel genuinely like that, right? And amid
Yeah,
all the judgments that we are so we easily judge people left and right,
Hmm.
and this is such a big thing that you are, you're thanking her actually. So that is like really poignant,
she
and it says
she
a lot
went through
about
the
you.
9 months of gestation period. She went through the labor pains, and I am enjoying the fruit of her labor. Okay, she doesn't even get
Yeah,
to see her
literally.
daughter, right? So I mean, I can't be thankful to her enough.
I really like your thought process and the way you think about things and, speak about it. It's very, very inspiring, really. So,
That's
ma'am,
so
thank you
nice.
so
Yeah,
much.
and
Thank you so much
from
for your
that,
lovely
yeah,
insight.
actually, after adopting your own child, you're also helping other couples, discover their way into it and counseling them. And, you're making such a difference to society, one child at a time. Because we have so many children who are really waiting for a loving family to accept them, and
Absolutely.
that is the harsh reality of life. That on one hand, there are people who are struggling to have their own child, and on the other hand, there are so many children available, and we, as a set of, like, so-called normal people, we don't even care about all this, right? So amid all that, you are making a difference to society. So thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts.
Yes.
Thank you so much. It was
So,
lovely
ma'am,
talking to you.
it was even better listening to you.
Definitely.
So, thank you. Thank you for being here with us. And we hope to be able to, strive to make that positive change in society, obviously, following from what you've said. So, our second guest for the day is Mrs. Rupali, ma'am. Sorry, I, one second, my screen is a little. Yeah, sorry, Rupali, ma'am. Welcome to our Women in Pride interviews.
Hello, good evening to
Hello,
everyone. Yeah, good
good
evening to
evening.
everyone. Audible?
Yes, you
Yes,
are
ma'am.
audible.
Okay.
So, before I begin, ma'am, Rupali, ma'am, you had such an impressive journey as a combat trainer and, motivational speaker, a life coach. You have trained you've trained thousands of ladies in self-defense and training. And not just that, you're also the director of an NGO, which I believe you've named after your son, Dhruv Foundation. And you're also the founder director of Dhruv Defense Motivation Center. So, ma'am, such an amazing and glorious portfolio that you have here. How did you get associated to combat training in the first place? Because I
Uh,
believe you have been to the Bhosla military school in the past.
yeah, I will give the
Yes.
details. So basically, in fact, I very much wanted to join army. That was the childhood dream. Everyone has some childhood dream. तो मुझे वो बहुत fascinate करता था army का life. And I always wanted to be a soldier, a patriotic, type of this. but somehow that we don't get so much of guidance. And in those days, which was 25 years back, or may say more than that, we did not know exactly ladies को तब अब भी जाके एनडीए शुरू हुआ है गर्ल्स के लिए. तब तो था भी नहीं एनडीए. और even after graduation, when girls started going as an officer, lady officers, वो भी was not at that those days. And there were no guidance, there were no internet in those days when we were educating ourselves. तो हम लोगों को कुछ भी सर्च करना, कोई भी रास्ता मिलना was a very difficult task. And then I just completed my BSc graduation, computer science, joined software companies and all. So that dream which was left, वो दिमाग में जो था हमेशा कि यार यारे मतलब देश के लिए कुछ करना है, सोल्जर बनना था. अब तो सोल्जर नहीं बने तो सोल्जर्स के लिए कुछ करना है. That took me to that the path basically. I left with all my jobs which I was doing well otherwise, and सिर्फ कमाना satisfaction नहीं दे रहा था, नींद नहीं दे रहा था. So I started with the NGO, Dhruv Foundation. As tab tak I had my son. I mean, till on my life that I had traveled half the journey, and I had a son and a daughter. And then we established this Dhruv Foundation. So the journey started from there. When one day when I asked my son and my daughter what you all want to become, ऐसे ही बात करते हैं ना, future में किसको क्या बनना होता है. So everyone has their aim, ambitious. My son said that I want to join army, and similar came from my daughter that she also wants to become one of the army doctors. And then here was that trigger point that I left with everything and started with the things doing motivation towards for two people to join army, and that's how Dhruv Foundation came into existence.
So, ma'am,
Wow, that is really amazing. Considering that you started your journey after having two kids, like
Having two,
yeah,
yes,
especially women in military at that time, and luckily now things are getting better in that zone.
yes.
But at your time when you were growing up, without having any role model to look up to, you still continued with your life. But as a mother, it becomes even more difficult to take on such new ventures.
Very true, very true. So then it started with that point that what I could do for soldiers. If not I became a soldier, what else we could do for the army peoples. तो army के तरफ जो inclination था जाने का, वो मतलब अंदर से ही खींचता रहा. We went to the southern commands and we went to the army officers asking कि what is that a normal people could do, some types of things that we could connect. We want to come in, we want to celebrate festivals with them. And then when Raksha Bandhan came, we went with a proposal that the real Rakshak brothers, which is our soldiers, which is otherwise also na apna khoon ka bhai to raksha karta hi hai, but that is one brother who is protecting the whole country. So we wanted to go and tie Rakhi physically to them. When we went and asked for permissions, उन्होंने पहले तो कह दिया था कि आप पोस्ट से भेज दो जैसे सब भेजते हैं. But then our idea was different. I said नहीं भेजना नहीं है. We want to get connected to them, ऐसे face to face, meet them, feel them happy, feel ourselves happy, show the gratitude that they are doing so much, living their whole life, festivals, families को छोड़ के जो वो लोग दिन रात धूप में, मतलब एकदम सियाचन जैसे हालत में भी, बर्फ की हालत में भी, they all are standing for us strong. So we as in women want to stand beside these soldiers to motivate this, inspire them more. So this is how it started, and they gave us a permission. They were very unsure ki on the day of festival how many women would come, but thanks to the social media, Pune ladies and all these groups had been started on a larger scale that time 5-6 years ago. और हमारी ये एक जो तब भी मतलब आवास में there were 750 ladies who came, and we physically went to their premises and tied Rakhi to the soldiers' brothers. That was the first ever program we did with the Indian Army, and they welcomed everyone so this gratefully. So this way the Dhruv Foundation's journey started, and we started celebrating festivals with soldiers. जैसे रक्षाबंधन होने के बाद we started with भाई दूज, then we had Navratri Utsav with the PRC soldiers, the soldiers who have given everything to country, जो पूरे व्हीलचेयर में अपने दोनों मतलब हाथ दोनों पैर मतलब पूरा उनका जिनका स्पाइनल कॉर्ड भी डैमेज हो जाता है कोई वॉर्स में या कोई और अदर सिचुएशन में while on duty, तो they are on wheelchair. इन सोल्जर्स के साथ में हम लोगों ने स्पेंडिंग टाइम शुरू किया, नवरात्रि उत्सव, माता का जगराता फॉर देम. So this how way the Dhruv Foundation's festivals celebration with soldiers started as a big journey in which the whole Pune city started joining us.
Wow, that is really commendable, ma'am, because it is our a small way to give back to them because they
Yes,
are unconditionally doing so
conditionally.
much for us.
True.
That's right. Really, it's very inspiring. And, considering so many ladies as such, you all go together. उनका बहुत, morale भी boost हो जाता होगा that, we are being appreciated and would kind of get them to strive to work more and, always live up to the honor that they bring to this country. So, ma'am, I wanted to ask you, like, you also, I believe, have saved a number of people in accidents,
Yeah.
in fire and road accidents. And then you also initiated a series of survival training camps. So, aside from survival training, do you think basic first aid is must also be included in combat training programs? Because aside from survival, I think, if there is someone who is trained in basic first aid, obviously it can better outcomes. So, what are your views on that?
Right. So likewise, we started Dhruv Foundation, which was one part of us, which was celebrating functions with soldier. Came the second part, as in army training हो अगर हम लोगों को जो I had not done for myself अगर ये हो तो we as in for the society it will be still more helpful. Every child, every woman, if we try to be a savior, so why every time every incidents पे we keep on waiting for someone else to come and help us. Whenever there are bigger incidences which is even not able to handle by the public, then this BCF commandos and all these peoples are required. तो अगर ये कमांडोज को जो सीखा है उन्होंने और वो जो आता है वो अगर हम छोटे छोटे कमांडोज को ही ट्रेन करना शुरू कर दे तो that will help the society was into my mind. And so came into existence was Dhruv Defense Motivation Center. So this military training, commando training with lot of things, as you said right now, like first aid. Yeah, first aid is also one of the part in our training. So we teach students the first aid techniques or every minute accidents. We teach them survival training. We have this disaster training, how to handle every type of fire or how you can rescue peoples from any fire incidents or might be other incidences. So basically neighborhood में जब भी कुछ होता है that what to do instant जो quick reaction एक बंदा मतलब casually generally what we see is जब accident होता है there are 50 hundreds of people surrounding but उनमें से
Yes.
एक रहता है जो कुछ बंदा help करता है और 90 people are just watching otherwise. So
Yes.
that one person has to be someone और वो 1% को हम ज्यादा से ज्यादा परसेंट में कैसे बढ़ाए तो ये ट्रेनिंग हमने तब स्टार्ट की to giving this training which was commando training and military combat trainings and everything. So not only खुद को self defense से बचाना but दूसरों को हर स्थिति से बचाना is what is included in our trainings. So these
Okay,
trainings
that
we
is
are
That is
taking.
very
something
thoughtful.
Yeah, these
very
trainings.
thoughtful and very unique and the need of the
Yes,
hour actually. And in
definitely.
March, there is we commemorate a day called Civil Defense Day. And
Yes,
I personally did not even know what it was. And I remember Afra and I were looking it up. And it actually stands for like, the common people are, self-sufficient in terms of taking care of themselves or their
yeah,
near ones in terms of in cases of disaster or political unrest. And I think, as you are rightly doing it, this is the need of the hour, and all of us should have some amount of basic training so that we can think on our feet and not be just onlookers.
True.
So we
that's right.
really appreciate your effort, ma'am, because it's probably not many people know about it, or not many of them are actually following this.
Yeah. So we started giving this training right from the childhood. So our training starts from the age of 6 years onwards. जैसे ही the
Yes,
child is developing himself, if you see every child has a lot of potential in themselves. It is the parent who stop them of doing lot of things. जैसे ही कहीं कुछ करने जाता है बच्चा तो नहीं नहीं वहां मत जा इट इज डेंजर इट इज फायर इट विल कॉट यू तो उसको हम सहमा के पानी है गिर जाएगा तो थोड़ा डर जो है हम खुद पेरेंट्स उस उनमें बिठाते हैं instead if we try to show him how to handle the fire or how to do behave when it is water whatever the precautions to be taken at such difficult situations तो बच्चे बहुत अच्छे से खुद को भी संभाल सकते हैं और दूसरों को कैसे बचना है वो भी बता सकते हैं so this starts from a very early age. जितने जल्दी आप किसी का डर मिटा दो, फोबियाज जो है वो एज एन ऑन आदमी बड़ा होता है तो एक एक डर बैठने लगता है लाइफ में. तो वी स्टार्ट गिविंग दिस ट्रेनिंग राइट फ्रॉम द एज ऑफ 6 years, क्योंकि कई सारे ऐसे स्पोर्ट्स है जिसमें इफ यू आर वेरी बोल्ड इन देयर इनिशियल बोर्ड, तो बिलो 9 एज ग्रुप में ही बच्चे वर्ल्ड चैंपियनशिप्स ले लेते हैं. तो दैट इज
Wow.
वाई वी स्टार्ट एट द एज ऑफ 6 years only. And it really helps a lot. Even my daughter, before 6 years itself, she was under six में archery champion. She had the mayor cup.
Wow.
She got the national, मतलब state. She played for the states till before 6 years. So that is how we start the training from early agehood, early childhood.
Truly commendable, I must say. I mean, involving children in this itself, because personally, as adults, I've never seen, whenever there are accidents, the first thing I see is, arre record karo, arre dekho bechare ko kya ho gaya. They keep discussing amongst themselves. Nobody really bothers to actually, nobody knows what to do, or they just want to capture the moment and say, maybe like discuss it in their circles. This so and so thing happened. It was such an unfortunate incident. So I think it's very, very important that children, as you are doing, they must be taught. And very rightly you said that, we have, but this fear has been put in us that don't go there, don't do this, this can, like for example, fire, it can burn you, it can, your clothes can catch fire as such. So instead of kind of putting that fear, because personally today, even if I see fire, the first thing that strikes my mind is run. It's not ki, how can I put this out? So it's very commendable,
Right.
ma'am, that you started this initiative and you are carrying forward this. So,
So
Gayatri, ma'am,
basically,
would you like to
very
add something?
small small steps, like you said, ki, we may get caught fire. So if we wetten ourselves, it's very the chances become 50% less that we will get fire. So it is just an half bucket of water. There are very simple do's. हमें अगर अच्छी तरह से पता है फायर एक्सटिंग्विशर कैसे यूज करना है, इन केस ऑफ एब्सेंस ऑफ फायर एक्सटिंग्विशर, एक अगर हम आटे का डब्बा भी फटाफट, दैट आटा भी इट वर्क्स एज एन एक्सटिंग्विशर, वो भी डाल के फायर बुझा सकते हैं. सो देयर आर लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स which could be done, and only if the knowledge is properly, one has the knowledge of it, one could save the things, is what we teach to everyone.
Definitely,
Yeah.
that's very
Yeah.
right.
Definitely. And right. And I think, as you said, children are born curious only. I think as parents, we are overprotective and we just stifle that curiosity all the time. So this is really eye-opening. And I again recall an incident which there's this girl called Shivangi Kale in Jalgaon. She's just 6, 7 years old, but I think her mom had turned on that electric rod is there, right, which we use to heat water. So
Yeah.
she
Yes,
kind
yes,
of
yes, I know
turned
that.
it on and she got electrocuted, and her 6-year-old daughter was able to save her and her little sister as well. And she won the National Bravery Award also this year for that. So it is like, how a child is observed, and then she learned it from her school, and all these such kind of activities, like we have fire drills or such kind of informative sessions. So that is how, had she not had the information, she probably would not have been able to do anything. But such a child is able to imbibe all that, and when we start them young, then it's like inbuilt in them, right? Then they don't have any qualms about jumping into a situation and taking control.
So few of
Correct.
my kids whom we had trained had also saved like these types of situations. Like one accident may one of the kid reacted and he could save others. One of our child has given good CPR और heart को ठीक से ना वापस मतलब immediately बचा लिया. So we also have these types of things. And as you were saying, I had taken survival training. So I was able to save a very big this blast of cylinder blast in my own society. It would have
Oh God.
taken place if I could have not put off the fire in just say before the fire brigade coming. I was able to put off everything. So this training gradually definitely helps you. Situation never comes बोल के आती नहीं है कुछ भी. तो दस्तक whenever there is any disaster, मतलब you have to immediately quick react onto it, and it definitely helps. Yes.
Correct. Correct. Very true. So, ma'am, you've taken up training and, so many things, but aside from training as such, which is a very physical thing, do you think our voices can also be a very powerful tool in terms of preventing disasters or averting any situations which are, not desirable?
Yeah, definitely voice is also a very good weapon, we say. In women self defense. We use this also as one of our main this women self defense I had started. I firstly I would like to add on to this that I am myself not a karate champion, not any black belt or not any belt holder rather, no neither black belt or anything. But I started self defense teaching to women's in a way that I thinking of each situation ki kya situation aati hai and situation based react कैसे होना चाहिए. So basically if we keep our 360 degree safe and if we try to immediately come to know that yeah there is some danger situation coming nearby, then that what quick reaction we could do is what saves us. उसी में जैसे voice is also one of the thing as you said. हम अगर चिल्लाए आवाज करें so we will be able to gather others attention and that would save somebody. So yes, voice is also one of the technique is it's used. There are some vessels which we could throw, maybe make a lot of sound which attracts people and then people would come to help you in that situations. So like that techniques, Karv Maga techniques, which is Israeli fights, which can choke
Wow.
somebody, which by which we can choke someone to an extent कि वो हमें छोड़ ही दे. जब somebody is type of attacking on you, अगर वो इतना बुरा सोच के या probably rape के हिसाब से if he is attacking you, then one should not be having so है ना उसके ऊपर इतना pity वगैरह. तो then you have to be more rigorous and more violent on him and hit him so bad that he leaves you. That's what we teach in our women's self defense. तो I teach how to use every body part as a weapon, जो हमारे strongest part है. So there is many things that we can use as in weapon, which we generally don't think कि अच्छा ये भी use हो सकता था. But once somebody has gone through this session, their mental blocks are opened. अच्छा एक ईयर रिंग भी काम देता है, सेफ्टी पिन तक हमें मदद कर सकती है. द नेल्स, द टीथ, द एल्बोज, हेड, जितने भी हमारे पास हार्ड पॉइंट्स है that could be used as one of the weapon for on the other person, for which you have to learn what are the soft target. जो सामने वाले बंदे का you have to know soft targets किस पार्ट पे हमला करे. The part which is not used for exercises. मतलब जिमर या कितनी भी बॉडी बिल्डर, इफ यू सी दिस पीपल आर लिटिल स्ट्रांगली बिल्ड, जो गुंडे टाइप ऑफ पीपल रहते हैं, तो हाउ कैन यू बी अ नाजुक लेडी एंड स्टिल बिकम मोर स्ट्रॉन्गर टू हिम इज सम पार्ट्स व्हिच ही डजंट एक्सरसाइज ऑफ, उन पार्ट पे आपको सोच के हमला करना है. तो यू हैव टू टेयर दैट पर्टिकुलर स्किन, नाखून से, ईयर रिंग के इससे या पिन से, और प्रोबेबली है ना harm him hard on his eyes. No, मतलब एक if this is a nose and if you try to extend it still more at an level, so he will not be able to bear that pain and then he leaves. So there are many such situations tacklings which we teach in women's self defense.
That is
I have
amazing. Somebody was saying something. Sorry.
Yeah, that really. Yeah, ma'am,
yes
you were saying something.
no, so I have taught in almost more than 15,000 women. I have trained on such types of self defense training.
That's awesome. Seriously. I mean, the most obvious,
That's awesome. Yeah.
we all know the most, I mean, we know the most obvious points to attack when we are being threatened by someone. But, you pointed out ki choti choti cheeze, all parts of your body can be employed to protect yourself. So something I'm hearing for the first time, and you also explained how. I think that's very, very helpful. And I mean, always like I had this apprehension that, okay, I am not very tall or giant or well built. But if there's someone in front of me who is twice my size, for example, how would I even, मैं उसको धक्का भी कैसे मारूंगी? So that was very insightful. Like, I'm
Basically
glad that, you are teaching these things.
ईयर ड्रम्स पे आप एक हाथ का कप बना के जोर से मारोगी, इतना सा भी जोर से, तो इट गिव्स एन ग्रेट वेरी बैड इम्पैक्ट ऑन हिज ईयर ड्रम्स एंड हिज ब्रेन एंड ही लीव्स यू. तो आपको ये ही सोचना है कि मतलब अंदर से कौन सा नाजुक पार्ट जो आपको एक बार पता हो जाए, तो ऑफ कोर्स मतलब दैट साइज ऑफ ही एंड यू डजंट मैटर, इट इज द ब्रेन व्हिच इज है ना स्टिल मोर शार्पर. वो अगर यूज करके ये टेक्निक्स एक बार जान लो, तो डेफिनेटली इट सेव्स women's.
Attack the senses. Got it.
Yeah.
So, do you have anything to
Wow.
add, ma'am?
Really.
Gayatri ma'am?
Yeah, this is eye-opening to say the least because and it like the when you were describing it, it was I was like kind of imagining one fight scene happening where the girl is able to fight off. Unfortunately, all over the world, almost every woman at some point of time goes through such kind of unpleasant or dangerous situations. And to protect our children further, it is great that we can teach them. To depend on themselves to protect themselves before waiting for somebody else to come and save them. So it
So
is a
basically,
great venture. I really hope that you can, spread this nationally and, spread the word and teach more and more people so that together we can, like, become a force to reckon with.
right from
Definitely.
eve teasing till the rape situations, everywhere there are techniques. तो एक छोटी सी छेड़ भी हम लोग क्यों सहे, मतलब कोई हमें फॉलो भी कर रहा है तो हमें क्या करना चाहिए इज रियली
बिल्कुल
इम्पोर्टेंट दैट वी नो दिस.
Absolutely, because every time we look upon कि यार तुम लड़की हो, चुप हो जाओ, क्या ही फर्क पड़ता है, किसी ने छेड़ दिया इग्नोर कर दो, या वो रास्ते से मत जाओ, ये सारी चीजें I have heard parents telling, but it very less are the
yeah
parents who actually train their daughters to be that brave enough. We have Nirbhaya coming, we have this coming, that going, everything is there, but we don't know whose mentality is going to change where. So your role in society plays a very very vital role, not just as a woman but definitely as parents. And to the daughters that I have, in combining both the sessions together, one was talking about the adoption and one we are talking about our own daughters. So whether the adopted child or your own child, every child should know how to take care of oneself, right? And it is not just responsibility of the child itself, but a very strong responsibility of a parent too. So, and even the education institute where the children spend a lot of their time, even the education system should come forward, taking your help, making the students be self-reliant, self-dependent when it comes to things like this. And the era today where we know the attraction starts at a very early age, and then though they don't know in what pitfall they are going to fall, right? A lot of things are there. I'm sure this is going to help all our viewers. So thank you, viewers, for joining in, and thank you, Rupali. Thank you, Neha, for being there and giving so much value addition that we were not aware either for adoption and even for the self protection की एक simple air drum पे भी जोर से देते हैं तो कितना फर्क पड़ता है वो one technique. So a lot of things are there, and and to all both my hosts Gayatri and Afra for being there constantly with the wonderful questions. Yes, Rupali.
So as you said, the kids should be learning all these things. We have 3, 4, 6 types of camps coming in this coming vacations now, where we teach all these trainings to students. So we have residential training of military trainings and adventure trainings to kids, at the same time non-residential also. And last 2 years we were not able to take because of COVID, but this year, yes, we have these trainings happening in Pune police this headquarters. So whoever's kids are really interested in getting such types of training for themselves, survival, savior trainings, and all commando trainings, they can definitely contact. So
Lovely.
March,
So
April, and
Ma'am,
May are the
I
periods.
have one question here. Ma'am,
Yeah,
what about middle-aged moms like us? Like, do we
we
still have a chance to learn
yeah,
all this?
yeah. We have Satark Nagrik for them. Satark Nagrik is again one of the course where every एक चीज में कैसे सतर्क रहना है वो सारी training है. Now it is a combination of again everything, all the disasters handling and self defense and all types of first aids and CPRs and everything. So that is for the adults.
lovely.
We have for only women's, for adults and for kids, all types of such trainings. Where ex-army
Lovely.
people are coming and helping us. Our empaneled coaches are those who are teaching to IS and IPS officers basically. जो यशदा में ट्रेनिंग देते हैं वही सारे कोचेस comes to us and give this, because our intention is to make saviors everywhere. तो दुनिया में क्या है, जब भी चीजें घटनाएं घट रही है वो अपने आप लोग जहाँ की वहाँ सेव करते सर्वाइव होके खुद से सेव करने आना चाहिए. इज was is our NGO's theme and aim.
Motive. Yes, a wonderful motive. Thank you for joining in, and definitely pass on your information. We will put it in the group. Those who want to join will definitely get in touch with you, Rupali.
Sure.
And viewers, thank you for staying tuned with us for today's lovely session. And for more, for more updation, to know more about the what women's are doing today, stay tuned for 4 to 5 tomorrow. We'll come up with two new beautiful faces to tell you about their journey and more to learn from them. Till then, everyone, take care. See you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Goodbye.